Hello again. As I've said before, I have nothing at all against transsexuals. If somebody wishes to have a penis surgically removed, it's not my business. If the same person wants to wear a dress and be called Mary, again, fine by me. Of course, I'm not a woman, so this is unlikely to affect me. It is women whose lives are sometimes adversely affected by the current craze for sex changes, and to see why we need only look at two recent incidents. Most women prefer to be in hospital wards in which only women are being treated. Understandable. Personally, I don't care. If I were in a mixed ward, that would be fine, or an all-male ward, or an all-female ward. It wouldn't make any difference at all to me. But as it happens, most women do prefer single-sex wards. These days, though, if somebody with a penis announces to hospital staff, "I am a woman called Jane," then they are obliged to accept this and allow the person to be placed in a women's ward. To quote the so-called Annex B guidelines on same-sex accommodation that the NHS work by, trans people should be accommodated according to their presentation, the way they dress and the name and pronouns they currently use. There's a bit more to this though, this Annex B business, because if people complain, for example, other patients, if a woman in an all-female ward says there is a man in the ward, hospital staff are obliged to tell them that it's not true and that only females are in the ward. In other words, the Annex B guidelines oblige the NHS staff under pain of disciplinary action to lie to patients, to pretend that there's no male in the ward when there obviously is. Can anybody guess what difficulties that's likely to lead to? What happens next follows with the inevitability of a Greek tragedy. A year ago, a woman was raped in an all-female ward in a hospital, raped by a man who told staff that he was a woman. She reported the rape to the police, and when they contacted the hospital, the police were told that it was impossible that the woman had been raped because there were no males present in the ward at the time. The police therefore dropped the investigation. It has taken a year, but the truth has now come out. I give a link to a newspaper article about this case. The NHS actually instructs staff to lie to the police when they are investigating a rape, because otherwise they would be behaving in a prejudiced way towards a transsexual. Just in case viewers didn't realise this, a lot of transsexuals who identify as females still want to keep their penises and testicles, and so are quite capable of rape. Another transsexual who retains his physical genitalia is of course Leah Thomas, who may be seen in the thumbnail to this video. 22-year-old Thomas was a champion swimmer in a male college team and then decided he was really a woman. Thomas now competes in college swimming competitions on that basis and unsurprisingly wins all the races against 18-year-old girls. As everybody knows, allowing such a broad-shouldered person with male musculature to compete against girls is grossly unfair, but nobody likes to say anything. Ordinary people can see how mad all this is, and yet they feel unable to speak out in case they're called transphobic. I'm not transphobic and have nothing whatsoever against transsexuals. It is, however, wrong to allow people with penises to stay in female wards in hospitals and to compete against girls in sports. One problem is, of course, that men always like to be the first and best at anything, and this is not a habit that is easily shaken off. even if you start wearing a skirt and tying your hair in bunches. These people might change outward appearances, but they still, just like Leah Thomas, want to win at everything.